Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, March 7th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. A lot to get into. Huge day on the Ohio State football beat. We've been waiting for this, and they're just throwing it all at us at once, drinking from a fire hose Friday, because we're getting Ryan Day later today, probably at 10:30. Jerry's telling us to get there like around 10 a.m., so we're getting Ryan Day later today, and then all 10 assistant coaches, all of them. The new assistant coaches, the holdovers, the guys that got promoted, everybody. I absolutely cannot wait. And look at this. I mean, you guys are like, what is that? It can't be a wallet, is it? That's my wallet. It's my wallet. When J-Book and I were just chilling in Tempe, Arizona, just hanging out on a Wednesday watching baseball, that was my wallet right there. All right, we're happy to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, Ridge Wallet. Listen, guys, are you still carrying around the same bulky, overstuffed leather wallet that you've had for years like I was? It's time for an upgrade. Meet Ridge Wallet, the sleek, minimalist wallet that's changing the game. Ridge wallets are extremely thin. Can confirm. You can securely hold up to 12 cards plus cash without adding unnecessary bulk. Made from premium, high-performance materials like carbon fiber, titanium, and stainless steel, Ridge wallets are built to last. In fact, they come with a lifetime warranty, meaning this will be the last wallet you ever need to buy. Right now, Ridge is giving their once-a-year anniversary sale. You can get up to 40% off at ridge.com/bucknuts. Just head to ridge.com/bucknuts to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Again, ridge.com/bucknuts, 40% off. Bam. Only problem is, there's no problem. I'm joking when I say this. These are so small. I'm like worried I'm going to lose it. It's so small, but I love it. I went with the carbon fiber. There's a lot of choices. I went with carbon fiber. All right, let's get to my guy here. My main man. J-Book, good to see you on a Friday, my friend.
Good to see you. 40% off on Ridge Wallet. That's a heck of a deal, man. I've had a Ridge Wallet for many years, and now with this sale, I think I'm gonna have to go and treat myself to a brand new one. I got the metal one.
You got you got to upgrade. I got the carbon fiber. So there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you're a customer. This reminds me of when we did Babbel ads, and Bax was like, yeah, this is how I learned to speak all these different languages. It's like, okay. All right, so huge day on the beat, man. It's gonna be awesome. I've been joking. Patrick Murphy has been seething that we haven't had any availability. We finally have it today. I was like, okay, we're less than 2 months removed from the national championship. Let them chill out a little bit. But I see both sides. But let's start with Coach Day. We're gonna get Coach Day and then all 10 assistants. I'll start with Coach Day. What are you most curious to hear about from Coach Day today?
I think I just want to hear about the next wave of guys. Who's kind of been really standing out in winter workouts? That's going to be one, because you got several transfers that are coming in, veterans. You got some young guys who they're really high on. Let's get some names on some guys who are really starting to step their game up there, because there's a lot of opportunities for playing time. That's number one for me. The second is, hey, the biggest elephant in the room, Dave, is going to be the quarterback situation. That's going to be something that's going to be monitored all throughout spring, all throughout fall camp. What's his view? How are they going to evaluate Julian Sand and Lincoln Keenholz and St. Clair? Those type of guys. How do they plan on divvying up those type of reps? Who's going to be your quarterback one once they actually start the field? And we're not going to say quarterback one per se to say who's won the job, but there has to be someone who's going to take the first few snaps with the first team offense. So hearing about that's going to be big. And then obviously I would be remiss if I didn't mention the defense, Dave. With Matt Patricia, what are they planning on doing with that defense? Because the one thing that stood out kind of right when Jim Knowles left, Ryan Day said that whoever they were to bring in as the DC, they will be running the Ohio State defense. Okay, which is, what does that consist of? Are you going to be running Jim Knowles, three safety high look type of defense? And then I think it was this week or recently, he said Matt Patricia is going to be tailoring a defense kind of uh, to the personnel that they have, some of the strengths that they have, the players that they have. So I'm curious to kind of get their feedback on what's this defense going to look like.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm gonna get to Patricia in just a second. That's like I'm almost. That's like not almost. That's the most interesting thing I think that's going to come out of
Yeah.
today is meeting the new defensive coordinator. Should I bring a pencil, put it in my hat?
Right.
You'd like that? Or you think no, I'm not going to do that. But like the one thing I want to hear from Coach Day before we move on to Patricia is will they like go in the portal? I think they're going to add a quarterback just for depth, but do they need to add anything else in the? They've already done such a good job in the portal,
That's a
getting
great
CJ
question.
Donaldson, getting Claire, getting Onionwa, getting
Yeah.
Daniels, getting Logan George. I'm leaving somebody out. Oh, the linebacker that they got from Duquesne, who's like
Mhm.
probably more of like a just a depth piece, but a special teams guy. Like, do they want to add anything else to the portal? Like, do you think that they, other than like a quarterback depth piece, do you think that Coach Day wants to add anything else to the portal?
I mean, I still think that you can't have enough tackles or offensive linemen
Yeah.
on a roster. If you can maybe snag one more quality guy, because we saw this year, if you run thin at tackles, things can get a little dicey there. The other question that I'm curious to know, they've hired two assistant coaches for the defensive line. And this is probably the first telltale sign that they're kind of starting to lay the foundation for when Larry Johnson's going to retire. So they went out and got the defensive line coach from UCLA. They given him the title assistant D line coach. Miguel, who was the former GA who went down to Alabama Birmingham to be a defensive line coach, he's now kind of back. It's more of a kind of that a grad assistant. I don't know if it's a grad assistant. It's like kind of that role where you're not technically considered one of the top on the field coaches, but because of the new NCAA rules, he can still have some hands-on coaching on the field. So it looks like they're kind of starting to pave that way for Larry. I'm curious to see what the dynamics will shake out as far as how's that going to work out with having two other guys, younger guys, working with Larry.
Matt Patricia, let's get into it. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
questions. So many. I'm sure we'll get like two. I should just put my Tim May hat. I love my boy Tim May. Just put my Tim May hat on. Be like, I got like two more questions in 4 parts. So like 8 questions in all.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know about scheme. I know he's gonna mix things up.
Tim
And
May's going to say, I just got a quickie.
yeah, I just got a quickie, and then like 4 more.
Right.
I love Tim May. I love him. By the way, he lives like about 5 minutes away from me. For those who don't know, which is awesome. A little West Side Columbus. Like, what are you gonna do with CJ Hicks? And I know he's gonna be like, we haven't even had a practice yet. So like, we're not gonna get too deep in the weeds with CJ Hicks and personnel, but I can't wait to talk to Matt Patricia about scheme, about just like what he thinks about he's inheriting as far as talent, Caleb Downs and the rest. Just your what are you curious about hearing from Coach Patricia later today?
Because it's going to be so hard right now to really get into the weeds with schemes and personnel, because like you mentioned, they haven't had a practice yet. I'm sure he's probably studying a lot of the tape, but I'm very, very curious to know about him, Dave. I think this is a good opportunity for kind of that introductory press conference to get to know him, because as I mentioned before, when he was first hired, it was very divisive. You and I are on the record say, hey, let's give him a chance to see what he can do. But I ran a poll on Twitter, 10,000 votes. I think there was like 53% said they were excited, 47% said that they hated the hire. I think we need to get to know who he is, what he has learned from previous mistakes, how does he plan to incorporate his NFL mindset to the collegiate level, especially at this size of a program. How does he handle himself? I'm going to be sitting back to see how he really handles himself with you guys, the beat, because that was one of the biggest knocks from him. He was very abrasive towards the media at his time in the NFL. And I can tell you, it's probably not as many guys covering a professional team as you're going to see at a place like Ohio State,
Not
where
even
you,
close.
right, where you guys are jam packing there. And then he looked like he's having a transformation in his life. I mean, when you see some of
Yeah.
the podcasts that he's been on, he's dropped a lot of weight. He's kind of, smiling, really coming off like a guy who's really rejuvenated. I want to see how his life change has impacted him and how he plans to, kind of keep that fresh mindset as he bring it to the team for a national championship, a team that's coming off a national championship.
I think he's been working out with you. Like I thought I've been doing good. Then you and I were hanging out in Tammy. I'm like, damn, J Buck, J Buck, you work out 5 times a day. Like, no,
No,
seriously, like I think Matt Patricia's been working out with you though. Like that's a good thing. If you're his personal trainer, that's good business. For those who don't know, J Buck is swole. He's a former college football player, and he looks like he could still play right now from the great Ohio University, where my daughter will be going
I
next year.
know it. She's going to be a OU, oh yeah, baby. She's going to be
Yeah.
down there in Athens. I'm excited for you, man, to get back there for some good old dad's weekend.
The defending MAC champions. The first time we can ever say that about the Bobcats, which is crazy. I didn't know that first time they'd ever won the MAC, as far as when they've had like a MAC championship game.
Yeah.
I should say, yeah. You corrected me on that when we were like hanging out, just hanging out watching baseball on a Wednesday afternoon, just typical guy stuff. All right, Brian Hartline, is he going to call plays? I can't wait to talk to him. Like we talked to him about this 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, he's probably going to call plays. I was like, is he really? Like,
Right.
This time I think he probably will. But what do you think?
I think he will. It's his time to shine, Dave. And as Coach Dave's been doing several interviews post national championship, and he's been talking about how how Hartline was really a key cog in the game plan designed, especially in that national championship against Notre Dame with that first Jeremiah Smith touchdown. That was all Hartline who kind of really dug into the tape and said, "Hey, let's run this." So I'm curious, will he be in the booth or will he be on the sideline? Because we've seen the last two national champions with Tom Herman, Chip Kelly at Ohio State. Those guys were up in the booth. Now,
And Knowles and Ash.
yeah, yeah. So if he is he going to be on the sideline or is he going to be in the booth? Because Hartline, his entire career that he's been at Ohio State, he's been on the sidelines. And can you be able to coach the wide receivers and be a play caller? I think there's going to be a heavy emphasis on the assistant wide receiver coach. Is it Devin Jordan? I think who's the assistant wide
Yeah.
receiver coach. I think he's going to play more of a pivotal role. Will he be on the sidelines, kind of help coaching up those guys? So I'm fascinated to see what Hartline's going to say about that. But he's going to have a lot of pressure because here's the thing: you're coming off an offense that was very dynamic in the playoffs. You have the best wide receiver core in all of college football. You probably have the deepest tight end room with Claire coming over in all of college football. Your offensive line's looking like it has the potential to be really good because you're getting everything back on the interior besides Jackson. I mean, I would count Jackson as a tackle at that point, but when you look at the four guys that were in the rotation in the middle, you got them coming back with now you got some probably a little bit of a bump in healthy tackles. So the offense should be dynamic. They just need to figure out the quarterback. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Brian Hartline to say, "Hey, I'm the man for the job." Because if he's a dynamic play caller, Dave, we probably got him for about 2 more years. And I will say that in a good way because if he's performing at a high level, that means the program is humming right along.
We'll take it. If Hartline is a head coach at this time next year, 2 years from now, it means Ohio State repeated as national champs or won 2 in 3 years. We'll take that and run with it. Yeah, man, it's funny you brought up Devin Jordan real quick. I need to do an ad read real quick, but like Devin Jordan, I believe I'm getting this right, was like Justin Zwick's like go-to receiver at Massillon. Like when those guys were in high school, like that Devin Jordan, like Justin Zwick.
Yeah.
Those guys were like the 1-2 punch there at Massillon and then came to Ohio State. So Yeah, it's great to see that Devin Jordan's still at Ohio State, and it's great to wear Goodr sunglasses. Jay Book knows I was rocking them throughout my time down there. You want some stylish sunglasses starting at just $25 a pair? Goodr is the place for you and me. I'm a customer for sure. Like I was saying, I was rocking my Operation Blackouts throughout my trip to Arizona for spring training. Jay Book can attest to this. We have, just these fantastic pictures you can see on the X machine of me rocking my Operation Blackouts from Goodr. Listen, and you guys can pick from a wide variety of shades. Get your own while getting a good deal or goodering a good deal. Getting a good deal and helping our show out. That's right. If you need a new pair of sunglasses, Goodr is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. You can go to goodr.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Goodr offers 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. You won't need the 30-day money-back guarantee, but it's nice it's there. Again, that's goodr.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. All right, before we move on, I'm gonna ask you about combine risers from Ohio State in the draft. Before we do that, I want to ask you about speaking of coaches we're going to talk to later today. We're going to talk to, like, I could ask you about all these guys, but Tyler Bowen, he seems to be doing a good job on the recruiting front. I like his approach. Your thoughts on new O-line coach Tyler Bowen?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about him because he technically hasn't coached the O-line in a while. Um, but he brings a lot of experience to the table. The one thing you really have to like about him is a completely different approach when it comes to recruiting than Justin Fry. He's not putting all of his eggs in one basket. He is going coast to coast, offering a lot of offensive linemen. I think he's been in contact with 20 plus offensive linemen thus far. So, what's his approach? What's his philosophy? Just getting to know him. And that's the big thing with these initial press conferences, Dave. It's just getting to know some of these newer coaches. So I think just kind of hearing his recruiting philosophy, I think that's going to be big because, recruiting is always big in Ohio State Nation, Dave. On the Bucknut site, that you can probably go in there any given time and there's multiple threads regarding recruiting, and offensive line has been kind of in that spotlight lately because we definitely need someone who's going to be able to land 4, 5, 6 offensive linemen per class. There's no more of, hey, we only got 2 or 3 offensive linemen because you put all of your eggs in one basket. You can't afford to operate that way any longer.
All right, so keep it locked to Bucknuts. Obviously, we're gonna talk to 11 coaches today. No big deal. No big whoop, as they might
That's
say.
a lot of content, my friend.
Talk. Yeah, I can't wait. But let's get into. There's a couple more things we're going to get into before we finish the show. I'm curious to get your take on the combine. You and I have not done a show in 2 weeks. The combine is now come and gone. Like, give me your take on Ohio State guys that helped themselves. Just your take overall. Are the Buckeyes going to set the record, my man? Like, they're going to tie the record with 15, or are they going to set it with 16, maybe 17?
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to Scott and Fryer if they're going to be able to break that record. So hopefully those two guys have a really good pro day. I thought Quinshawn Judkins probably helped himself the most going into the combine because with his size at 221, jumping to 38 and a half vertical and still popping like a 4.45, 4.48 or something like, yeah, 4.48. So that right there is showing a guy with his size getting under 4.5 is tremendous. So I thought he helped himself quite a bit. I've been seeing a lot of NFL guys say Emeka Egbuka interviewed extremely well throughout the combine, and that's kind of expected. Anybody who's followed Ohio State knew that he's going to do well, and that's kind of the thing about Ohio State players, Dave, because they are surrounded by so much of the media and they are asked, especially the veterans, to talk so much throughout their career at Ohio State. It's probably fairly easy for those guys to get up there and just kind of like, hey, let's just talk some ball. Getting to know those type of guys, it has to be fairly easy for them to be able to just hold a civil conversation considering all of the training that they have to go through. So those two guys, Jackson looked really good in some of the offensive lineman drills. Will Howard didn't perform as well as he probably wanted to in the passing drills, but I was actually just driving home from soccer practice, and they had NFL net. I had the NFL Network on the radio, and he was a guy that they were raving about, saying, "Hey, they didn't care about what happened at the combine. What they're looking at when it comes to Will Howard is they're just throwing the tape. He was by far the best looking quarterback all throughout the playoffs. And I think Kurt Warner the other day said he broke down some tape and he thought that Will Howard looked like one of the best quarterbacks coming out of the draft when you throw in that playoff tape. So that kind of tells you something. When you have a bad performance, at least he has the tape to go back to it and say, "Hey, look what I was able to do against the best competition in college football."
And our guy Jackson, I mean, I think Donovan Jackson had a wingspan of like a typical like 6'7" guy, had 33.5-inch arms,
Yeah,
only 6'4", but like 6'4" with socks at the combine. So
right.
like really, a lot of those guys that measure at 6'4" at the combine are 6'5", as we know, are listed at 6'5". So great for Donovan Jackson. Great young.
Yeah, and I think Jackson. Somebody asked him what's kind of the feedback that he's been getting from talking to NFL personnel, and he said that most teams see him as a guard. They asked him about his time at tackle, and a lot of NFL teams said that they were extremely impressed with his ability to play tackle at a high level, especially going against the teams that he went against. Because you look at Penn State and Abdul Carter, and he did well against Michigan. And then you look at James Pierce, the Tennessee defensive lineman, who's projected to probably go in the first two rounds, did really well there and all throughout the playoffs. So I think he the way he finished the season playing at the tackle, he's going to be extremely valuable for an NFL team because they can say, "Hey, we got you pegged in and ink as a guard, but if we get in trouble, you're good enough to play some tackle just to get us out of that football game."
It's going to be so much fun to see. I think it's an underrated story. It's going to be a big story draft weekend.
Yeah.
Starts
Hold
on
on.
Wednesday,
I got
obviously.
a question for you though.
Yes, sir.
There's a ton of Buckeyes coming out. Will your Bengals select a Buckeye in this draft, man?
They better. That second round is ripe. Like, especially now with Hubbard retiring, you can have your like the latest one that I like posted from it was ESPN. It wasn't Dane Brugler because Dane's latest was just one round, which for Dane is crazy. Usually Dane's like doing at least 3 rounds, maybe the entire draft, like all 7 rounds. He just did his latest was just first round. But I
Yeah.
posted one from ESPN.com the other day, a 2-round draft that had Tui Molo going to the Bengals.
Ooh.
Sawyer's expected to be available there. With
Yeah.
Hubbard retiring, I'd love to see the Bengals get one of those guys in the second round. So yeah, I hope so. Although Duke Tobin has a love for Michigan guys, so
I
we'll
know it.
see about that, man. We'll see.
Isn't your other defensive end seeking a trade too?
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. Yeah,
Trey Henderson, yeah.
yeah. They're saying okay. I mean, there's only so many. When you have Burrow sign, you're trying to sign both receivers. I don't think they can sign. Hopefully, they can get both Chase and Higgins. You can't then also sign Trey Hendrickson. If they can get like, they're not going to get a first rounder for him, but if they can get like a second and a fifth or something like that, or a second and a fourth for Trey Hendrickson, might need to do it because you only can sign so many guys.
You guys are going to be in a 45-48 shootout.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I know, and they've missed on too many. They've missed on too many draft picks, like Dax Hill, Miles Murphy. You can't miss on that many draft picks if you're Cincinnati. I want to ask you this. I want to finish the show with some fun here. So,
Yeah.
we all know Jay Book lives down in the Phoenix area. I got a chance to hang out with my guy last week. What I didn't know till we're sitting there at the ballpark, I asked him, like, so what made you move down here? I just figured he got a job offer like out of Ohio University, and he's like, just moved down here. Like, I had a couple of my teammates that lived down here just on a whim, came down here, and I'm like, you didn't have a job? Like, you came down? He's like, I just came down and put a bunch of applications in and look at them now. Look at them now. But so I want to get into the pros and cons of living where you live, because I think there's a lot more pros than cons. I've been down there a lot, and this is the first time I was down there completely on leisure, like completely on vacation, because I've been down there a lot for Ohio State football games, which have been awesome. But all right, so we know the cons, like we know it's like 115 sometimes in the summer, but like, how awesome is it living down there? What are some things we need to know?
Yeah, it's great, man. I love it, Dave. Um, I mean, beautiful weather for the most part. 9 months out of the year, you're going to get really good weather. And the one thing that I really appreciate here because of the weather, there's so many active people. You can't help but just to get out. Like there's so many
Is that why you're
bike.
so swole?
I guess so, man. I go to hit class 3 to 4 times a week, so that kind of as I'm getting older, Dave, I still got to try to get after it. But just being active out here is one of the one things that I love. Like you can do hiking, pick your poison. You want to go hiking, you want to go running, you want to go riding your bike. I do a lot of bike riding because when I'm sitting at my desk doing work for my day job, after a while, I just get a little stir crazy because I work full time remote. So I'm just like, you know what? On my lunch break, I'm going to go, take a bike ride around the neighborhood. So I just go for a little bike ride, and that's one thing that I really appreciate. In the mornings, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. You stick your head out the door, and you'll see just a ton of neighbors just walking their dogs out and about. So that's always a positive for me. It's a lot of things to do. Uh, pick your cup of tea. You want to go down to Phoenix, which is a little bit more vibrant. There, you have a all type of melting pot down in Phoenix. You can go and get your sons in the Diamondbacks. If you want to hang out with a younger crowd, go down to Tempe where it's a nonstop party at ASU. You can do that. I'm in Scottsdale, so if you want to go to the Scottsdale area, there's plenty of shopping and golfing and awesome restaurants there. And then if you want to go further east, you can. You was all the way out in Goodyear on the west side when you came out, and I was like, Dave, you way out there on the west side, but you seem to enjoy it though with your little time out there because you was right there, had a nice hotel, got to see the Reds practice quite a bit.
It was perfect. Like I really highly recommend it to Reds and Guardians fans because
Yeah,
like Goodyear, like where I stayed, like where the hotels are, like there's like, plenty of restaurants and like bars and like everything like around there. And then like it's like 3 miles away, but like it'll take you about 9 minutes to drive there is the Reds and the Guardians facilities, and
mhm,
then the stadium itself. Which at first I thought Jay Book, like before I did research, and I knew this before I came down there. I thought always they had the stadium there, and the Reds and the Guardians had their facilities like at the stadium itself, like but
right.
separate facilities. It's not quite like that. It's kind of similar, but like the stadium is just a separate thing, and then like zero point 0.3 miles away is the Guardians facility, and then zero point 0.3 miles away from that is the Reds facility. It's so cool. My point is like when you're at the Reds and the Guardians facility in the stadium itself, it feels like you're in the middle of the desert, like almost like
Yeah,
there's nothing else around. But then like, dude, like 3 minutes away, there's like plenty of like restaurants. It's just so cool. I love
yeah,
it so much. But yeah, you do feel like you're at Goodyear. And as you told me, like Goodyear, and I've done a lot of research, named after the tire company
yeah.
from Ohio because they went down there and bought all of that land back in the day because I didn't realize cotton to grow cotton down there in
Right.
Goodyear, Arizona. I didn't realize cotton was such a big deal, a big part of tires, but they were.
The other thing about that I really love about here is you're a car drive away from so many different type of climates. You can go 2 hours up north to Sedona, which is one of my favorite places. Just absolutely gorgeous red rocks. That's one of my favorite places in the world. Going to Sedona, and then you also have Flagstaff, where you're going to get climate. You can go skiing up there. Right now, Flagstaff just got dumped a bunch of snow, so you can go 2 hours up the mountain and go skiing if you really want to. You can go south about 3 hours down to Rocky Point, Mexico, if you want to, and go to the beach there. If you want to go west, you can get to San Diego in about 4.5 hours. You want to go to LA, you got 6 hours there. You can get to Las Vegas with a car drive as well. So there's so many different type of climates and places that you can get to, which are really fun, which is just a car drive away. I mean, if you decide from to fly from like here to Vegas or fly from here to Los Angeles, about time you put your seatbelt on and they start bringing beverages, you're already wheels down landing. It's like up 45-minute flight from here to Las Vegas, in and out. So it's kind of cool whenever you think about it because you're like, oh, it's hot, but let's get out of here. Let's go to the beach or let's go up north to get out of the heat for a little bit in the summer.
I almost stayed down there. And now with Big Ten Media Days being in Vegas,
Yeah,
I like all I
drive
just should
over.
have. I was like, I can't really
Yeah.
let's just stay down here and everything, because I have to cover Ohio State football. It's like, yeah, maybe you could. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. It was great hanging out with you, and it's always good having you on the Friday.
Yeah, the question is are you going to make this an annual spring training trip? Because you
I
come down in
think
just
so.
perfect spring training weather out here. It's just like perfect weather. It's like 75 to 85, depending on the day. Shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops, go in the middle. If you can get off, take the day off, go crack you a couple cold beers in the middle of the afternoon, watch some baseball, and go grab you something to eat afterwards. Like, if you come down here, I got to get you on this side of town so you can come and check out some of the other spring training games, and I can show you all about Scottsdale and stuff.
Okay, all right. I like staying near the Reds facility, but yeah,
But you got to take a journey.
I won't turn down a good offer
I
though.
know
Right.
you can stay out there, but you got to take a journey over to this side of the valley.
And not just to the day trip to Tempe, actually maybe get okay, so you're saying I need to get 2 hotel rooms. Okay, I guess I'll do it. I guess I'll
Well,
do
you don't need to
one
get
on
too
the
help.
east side, one on the west side. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, see, we got the robot cars out here. They call Waymo. Dave, did you get to see those? Where the self-driving cars?
I don't think so. I accidentally got in one of those HOA lanes though on my way back from Tempe because
Yeah.
it was like rush hour. I was like, and then I saw $400 fine. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't be in this lane because that means you have more than one person in your car. Obviously, no,
Yeah,
I
so
I did not see the self-driving cars down there. That's a big
Yeah,
thing.
so they're everywhere, man. They're called Waymos. They're pretty fun. And so that's the kind of the new wave out here is they literally drive you. You get in the car, you order it, and it's an app. Once the car arrives, you use your app to unlock the car. Once you get in and put in your destination, the car literally drives itself. It's kind of freaky at first because you're sitting there in the back seat and there's nobody in the front seat and the thing is just driving. And at first, I was just like, man, I don't know. Then I got in there, I was like, this car is actually precise driver. I mean, just pinpoint turns. And then you get in there, and they got the XM radio, so you can jam out if you want to. And
Wow.
the beautiful thing is you don't have to talk to an Uber driver. So I've been kind of riding the wave of the Waymos lately.
Interesting. I've heard about the driverless cars for a while, and I thought
Yeah,
that they broke them out about 5 years ago. It didn't go well. Now it sounds like
yeah.
leave it to Phoenix for doing it.
And they're Jaguars too, so they're pretty nice inside.
Jaguars.
Yeah, they're Jaguars.
Oh wow. Okay, they're not messing around. These aren't Fords.
No,
Nothing against Ford. Nothing against Ford.
right.
Nothing
You
against.
never know. Ford might be one of our sponsors or something down the road.
That's exactly right. I appreciate it, my friend. Great stuff as always. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Talk to you next week, buddy.
All right. He is Mr. Jonah Booker. Thank you very much to J Book. Appreciate him as always. And of course, we'll let you guys know about Factor Meals. My favorite story. For those that haven't heard it, most of you have heard it. Probably, well, I shouldn't say all of you have heard it. Is do a moonlighting gig at 97.1 The Fan here in Columbus, and one of my guys there that I always, co-host with. Every time I co-host with him, he's making I fill in on his show. He's making a old school microwave lunch meal, frozen. Not very healthy. Doesn't taste good, and it stinks up the place. All just bad all around. And I turn him on the Factor, and he loves it. As I said, I love Factor meals. We can get you guys a great deal. With Factor, you get fresh, never frozen meals, high quality, great tasting, healthy, no prep, ready in just 2 minutes because it comes fresh, never frozen. Nothing to clean up. Those are wins all around. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Use code factorpodcast. Get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's fantastic. Call a buddy, tell a friend. I mean, get it for yourself. Go to Factor Podcast. Go to factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Do it. Go to factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Get 50% off plus free shipping. What a great deal. You guys will love it. I like the filet mignon meals that they have. They've got a chicken and sun-dried tomatoes. They've got smoothies. They've got a bunch of stuff that's fantastic. Check it out, factormeals.com/factorpodcast. 50% off plus free shipping. So there's no hidden fees either. It's like 50% off. Okay, well, how much is the shipping? Free. You get half off plus free shipping. That's fantastic. All right. So great stuff from J-Book. Don't forget, my friends, this is a huge day. I kind of wish they were spacing it out a little bit, but it's still exciting. We're getting Ryan Day and all 10 of his assistant coaches later today. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for that. We'll have stories, videos, and more from this huge day on the beat. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for all of that. Thank you very much to my good friend Jonah Booker. Really appreciate you, J-Book. And thank you to everybody for tuning into the show. We appreciate that very much. Hope everyone has a great day. Don't forget to tune into Bucknuts for plenty of coverage on this big day on the beat. Thanks to J-Book. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Go Bucks.